Sidhu Moosewala was an Indian superstar with a dark past. Some say he was changing his ways, some say that Sidhu was just playing into an image. But what is true is that in the 4 years of his life leading up to his death, Sidhu accomplished more than most do in their entire lifetime. With him becoming one of the most successful Punjabi musicians and even starting to become a politician, with him running for Congress in 2021. However, before he really got his chance, his life would be cut short on May 29, 2022, where 3 armed gunmen, one armed with an AK-47, would shoot Moosewala, striking him 30 times. Shubhadeep Singh Sidhu, more likely known as Sidhu Moosewala, was born on June 11, 1993. For my sake, I will just refer to him as Sidhu for the rest of this video. Sidhu would be raised in the Musa village in the Mansa district. The Mansa district is known as the area of white gold, referring to its rich cotton fields. The village's backbone is agricultural. However, the town has the worst education metrics in the state. Despite this, it strives in medical and engineering fields. Gangs are also quite prominent in Mansa, but not only in Mansa, but throughout the entire state of Punjab, with most of these gangs having some form of Canadian connection, to the point that 9 out of 11 men on Canada's most dangerous gangster list were of Punjab origin. Growing up in Mansa was hard, but Sidhu attempted his best to keep his life out of the gangs. However, he would begin to have close ties with multiple different gang members. Sidhu wouldn't completely fall into the gang life like some others around him. Instead, he continued going to school and would end up passing high school with great grades. And just like his fellow peers, he would go to college for engineering, and at the age of 22, he would go to Brampton, Ontario, Canada to get his degree in engineering. However, he wouldn't get much use out of this degree because just 1 year later, he would begin writing songs. Sidhu would release his first song, G-Wagon, while still in Ontario. The song had minimal success at release, but despite this, Sidhu would continue making music, and on August 10th, 2017, he would release his song So High featuring Big Bird, which would blow him up. And at the time of the recording, this song has 564 million views. While this success was nice, in 2018, Sidhu would really start popping off, with Sidhu releasing his first album, PBX1, which was published by the infamous T-Series, with the album peaking at number 66 on Canada's top Billboard 100. Even though Sidhu was in such an early state of his career, he was already being seen as an icon for his culture, and brought up issues that the Indian population struggle with on the daily. An example of this is that Sidhu always wore his turban, and showed his culture through the music, while other Indian artists who had this kind of success would drop their culture in an attempt to appeal to more American or European audiences. After the success of his first album, Sidhu would become independent in 2019 and would release his song 47 independently. And while a lot of Indians saw Sidhu as a great icon, the general population and Indian government thought that Sidhu was nothing but a criminal who was promoting gun culture and infecting the minds of the young youth. The reason they believed this was because of a few specific clips of Sidhu surfacing on the internet that were either taken out of context or had the sole purpose to paint him in a bad light. And a specific clip of Sidhu shooting an AK-47 as well as a personal pistol at a firing range while he was accompanied by a police officer would go viral. And the Indian government saw this as an opportunity to strike Sidhu with criminal charges. Sidhu would be hit with a charge under the Arms Act, and the 6 policemen that were there at the firing range would be fired. However, for this charge, Sidhu would be only booked and not arrested. Then, a week later, Sidhu would release his song Sanju, where Sidhu would compare himself to the Indian actor Sanjay Dutt, with him rapping the words, "Young man has the same case as Sanjay Dutt," who in 1993 was arrested for a similar charge to Sidhu's. And after this controversy, Sidhu would go on to release his album Snitches Get Stitches on May 9th, 2020, which wouldn't be as successful as his previous album, but that's to be expected since he was going from a big label to being independent. The next big release for Sidhu would be on May 15th, 2021, where he would release his heavily anticipated Musa Tapes album, which had tracks such as 295 and Us. This album overall was a huge success for Sidhu. Then, a few months after the release of this album on October 8th, 2021, Sidhu would release his first movie, Musa Yacht. And in the same month, on the 22nd, he would release his second movie, I Am Student. Then, on December 3rd, 2021, Sidhu would join to run for Congress, which obviously caused a lot more controversies around his name due to some seeing him as a hardened criminal. At this point, things were clearly going great for Sidhu. He had come a long way from him living in a small village to being one of the biggest Punjabi musicians, and now he was running for Congress. Then, on April 25th, 2022, Sidhu would release his next and last EP, No Name. Sidhu would release his last song on May 15th, 2022, called The Last Ride. The single's artwork was a picture of Tupac Shakur's car that Tupac died in. And in a dark twist of events, this can be seen as foreshadowing, because Sidhu Moosewala would be murdered inside his own car. On May 28, 2022, Sidhu would take a picture with a fan, then hop into his black SUV with his 2 friends, Gurwinder Singh and Gurpit Singh, and his father would follow them in a different car. They were on their way to go to his village in Musa, but Sidhu had no security with him, and while they were on their way there, a white SUV would begin following them. Two of the men inside the white SUV were Manpreet Manu and Jagdeep Rupa. As they followed Sidhu, they brandished their weapons in the car to post on social media later. Then, they found the right time to strike. They got out of their vehicles and headed towards Sidhu's, where they began firing senselessly. Sidhu attempted to shoot back, firing 2 pistol rounds, but by then it was useless. Sidhu Moosewala had been murdered. Then, just an hour after Sidhu's death, a gangster by the name of Goldie Brar, a Canadian-based gangster who has ties with the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, had taken responsibility for Sidhu's death. The supposed reason Goldie Brar had put a hit on Sidhu was because Sidhu was allegedly involved in 2 murders, one being of Vicky Madakura, who was a highly respected man of the Akali Dal political party, who was shot dead on August 21st, 2021. And since Goldie Brar thought Sidhu was responsible, he took actions into his own hands. Goldie Brar would go on to do a live TV interview. This is what he had to say. Sidhu was changing his image through his music. He got what he deserved. We had expectations from the law, but nothing happened. Today, all are in support of him, but those people don't know all the families he has ruined. However, it is not known if Goldie Brar is actually responsible for Sidhu's murder, as he had once said that there was 8 shooters, but police said there was only 6 shooters. But one thing that is obvious is that this attack on Sidhu's life was heavily calculated and only could be done by those in some form of power. Remember that fan Sidhu took a picture with before getting into his vehicle? Sidhu would take a picture with a fan, then hop into his black SUV. Well, his name is Sandeep Singh, and it was found out that he wasn't a fan of Sidhu at all. Instead, he was providing intel for the killers. This just shows how big of an operation this really was, and he wasn't even the only one who was providing intel for them. Few Sidhu's old friends were just recently booked involving his murder as well, those being Konwarpal Gurul, who runs a music studio called Folk Mafia, and Yoti Pandare, who owns Yacht Life Studio. The funny thing is that 2 years earlier, Sidhu's father had given an FIR on Gurul to the Indian police for allegedly leaking Sidhu's songs. These also aren't the only people who are allegedly involved in Sidhu's murder. Supposedly, Sidhu's own neighbor, Yagatar Singh, had a role in his murder as well. Yagatar allegedly installed CCTV cameras on his own house to spy on Sidhu and figure out his daily routine. There are also other theories of his murder, such as what Sidhu's father believes, which is that fellow Punjabi singers are also involved in this murder. And on August 14th, 2022, Sidhu's father said that he suspected some of Sidhu's friends, and he is sure they played a part in Sidhu's murder. However, he has yet to say names, but said that he will say their names eventually. On the other hand of this, Sidhu's fellow Punjabi singer Micah Singh said that Sidhu used to get threats from gangsters demanding money, and is suspicious that this time Sidhu didn't meet their demands and he was killed right after that. At this point, 8 have been arrested involving Sidhu's death, with 2 others being killed in a police shootout. Sidhu Moosewala wasn't just a singer or a politician, he was one of the best that ever lived. He changed the entire Punjab music industry and struck the hearts of many. And on August 24th, a worldwide candle march was held to seek justice for Sidhu Moosewala's death. Rest in peace to this legend. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. Thank you.